Hi, and welcome to this intermediate training session. My name is Paul Sonneveld, and I'm the co-founder and product owner here at Merchant Spring. Today, we're going to be talking about profitability analysis inside the Merchant Spring platform. And specifically, we're going to be covering a couple of topics. I want to talk a little bit about financial events and explain how they work. We'll go through some of the reports, including the channel profitability reports and product level profitability reports. We'll upload some unit COGS together, and I'll also take you through some of the most common errors experienced by our users. Okay, let's jump into the platform. Off we go. So I'm right here on the main screen. And of course, profitability really starts here, because right down here, all the way down, is our first encounter of profitability inside the application. And what we're showing you here is really the profitability of your marketplace accounts across your portfolio. So if you're an agency, this will show all of your agency channels, or if you're an aggregator, it will show all of your, say, Amazon assets combined and broken out here. Now, of course, you have the ability to filter these reports using the tags up here. And feel free to refer to our introductory training sessions on how to use tags. From here, as you can see, you can drill down and you can already start to see sort of the total portfolio profitability reports. What we always try and do is compare the current period that you've selected through the time selector here against the comparison period. And the reason we like to do that is for you to very quickly identifying what is driving the shifts in profitability. And I think this is where the profitability expressed as a percentage of income or revenue, or as unit economics, is really, really useful, because it allows you to compare shifts, in this case at the portfolio level, but as we'll soon see, at the channel level as well. It works exactly the same way. So let's go into my channels and let's have a look at profitability at a particular seller level. I'm navigating through the profitability module right here, and let's start with a channel profit. Now, at this point, I want to just explain a little bit more of how Amazon looks at profitability. So profitability is based on the concept of financial events. And financial events are simply transactions, financial transactions that Amazon posts in your account after the event has occurred and that relate to the event. So a good example might be there's a subscription renewal for your annual Amazon account fee. That is a monthly event, and every month Amazon will put that charge in your seller account. Another very common event is a shipment event. So Amazon will trigger a lot of the selling fees as well as a lot of the FBA fees when a product is shipped. And because a lot of the events are related to when products are shipped, you will notice that inside the P&L here, we're always talking about shipped product sales, because implicit in here is all of these numbers drive of shipments as opposed to when products are ordered. In terms of financial transactions actually occurring inside your Amazon account, they occur mostly when products are shipped. Hence, we're talking about shipped product sales. Now, inside Amazon, there are about anywhere, depending on the country, anywhere between 75 and 100 financial events that happen in your account. What we try and do is take all of those events and structure those in a pro forma profit and loss statement that you can see below. All of these items here in the P&L have a number of subcomponents, and you can quickly determine what's inside each of those components by hovering over the icon here. Some of these P&Ls also have the ability to look at metrics down below. Some of the key metrics we've included here, and as we soon see in the monthly profit view, this will really become really, really handy. The channel P&L, what we're looking at now, is really a great place to help you or your client understand if profitability has shifted at an aggregate level, what's really driving that shift. Let's have a look at profitability over time, which takes us to the second report, which is the monthly profit report. This report is similar in nature as the channel report. It contains the same level of data, but allows you to look at the months in a column format. So if I select a much longer time period, for example, the last 12 months, you will see that we're now generating a P&L, but showing you every single month. This is very good to assess trends across the account, whether revenue has been going up, whether reimbursements are increasing or decreasing, and of course, most importantly, what is happening to your profit margin. Is it growing, expanding, and are you banking more dollars? Those same metrics we saw earlier are also available here at the bottom, again, allowing you to really measure the metrics over time and spot broader trends that may be impacting the profitability of the account. Now, thus far, we've just looked at profitability at a total channel level, and before that at a total portfolio level. But it's also possible to look at profitability at a product level. Before we dive into that, though, it's important to note that not all charges within your Amazon account are attributed down back to a product level. The most common examples of this would be obviously your monthly account fee, inbound FBA receipting fees, but also campaigns, advertising campaigns such as sponsored brands or sponsored video, where that is not actually linked to a particular product. In those instances, the actual expenses and income will reside at the channel level, but not all of these expenses are pushed down to the individual product level. Let me just pick last month again, and we'll have a look at product level profitability, which resides right here. Now, let me just break this screen down a little bit further. At the top here, we simply have a summary view in trend chart format. So this total profit here is your channel level profitability that will reconcile to the channel profit report that we looked at earlier. Over here, we're able to quickly navigate of our entire portfolio and the products that we sold within the time period that we selected in the date selector up here. How many of those products were profitable versus unprofitable? Now, in this demo data example here, we're very fortunate. There are no unprofitable products. But if some of your products were unprofitable during this particular time, you will notice that in here, it will flag up in red. But you'll also notice that immediately down here at the product column, profit column. Now, just to help you navigate a couple of other aspects in relation to this report, there are a couple of hidden features. The first one is the trend chart of profitability at a product level. This allows you to look at that profitability over time, and you can spot if there are particular days maybe where your product generated a loss. Perhaps you discounted too heavily, or perhaps there was excessive advertising spend that dragged you into the red. The second part of this table are all the additional metrics that you may want to look at. So if I click on that 3-column icon here, you will notice there are a series of metrics, both financial metrics as well as other metrics that you can choose to include in this particular table. I would like to draw your attention at this point, for example, to the units, total units sold and total units refunded. It is a great way to look at your products that you've sold and quickly ascertain which of my products am I experiencing really high refund rates on, and hence impacting profitability. It's a great way to quickly get to that. Thirdly, I want to draw your attention to this little icon here all the way to the right. This icon, by clicking on that, shows up a complete P&L, but for this particular product. So in other words, one product at the time for the period that we've selected using the date selector. In the event that your product is unprofitable, it is a really good report to very quickly understand what's driving the profitability or lack of profitability for your particular product. Areas that I always like to look at first is the average selling price in relation to the fulfillment and shipping fees. Costs a lot of money to ship things out of Amazon FBA. And sometimes if the average retail price is low, it's really hard to make a positive margin. Secondly, refunds, the percentage refunds can have obviously a material impact on your profitability. Thirdly, advertising, really your TACoS and what's that running at. And then of course, all of Amazon's fees as well, including fulfillment and shipping. So there's some great benchmarks and metrics here that allow you to very quickly assess where the profit leak is coming from if you're experiencing negative profitability on any of your products. Now, while I'm here, you'll notice that we have actually loaded in a cost of goods. In this case, this particular product has a unit cost of $11.20. Our platform provides you with the ability to actually load your own unit costs into our system. And that is done through the mechanism up here. The first thing that you need to do is to download the template. What happens when we do that is we provide you with an Excel template that contains all of your products with two specific columns. One to upload your unit costs, and the second to let us know what your FBM shipping cost is per product. Obviously, we obtain all of the FBA shipping cost from Amazon, but we don't have visibility of your FBM shipping cost. So you can upload that as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just download the actual template so we can see what it looks like. Download the template as such, and it should open up in Excel. Now, it's a very simple template. It's got a series of headings. These headings need to remain as is. We can't change or rename them, otherwise the template won't work. We have our SKUs up here, and then we have really two input columns. Well, really four, but if you're not changing the currency, you really have two input columns. There's a unit costs and your shipping costs. This is your FBM shipping cost per product. So how much does it cost you every time you ship one of these units, and your unit cost. As you can see, we're simply entering a number with decimal places here. You don't need to apply additional currency formatting because you're already telling us what the currency is through this column here. Once you're satisfied, you can save that down. You will need to save it as a CSV, which it should already come as a CSV. So just save the file down, and then we're ready to upload. So uploading happens over here. We can click Upload Direct Cost. We simply pick the file. There it is. And we now need to choose an effective date. The effective date really asks the question, how far back in time would you like Merchant Spring to go to retrospectively apply the unit costs to the transactions in our database? So we may want to go back to, say, the 1st of January 2023, and saying from that date onwards, we want this unit costs to be effective. So we can do that and just hit confirm, and we get a success message here across the top. The same mechanism can be used to update your unit costs. So let's say you have a new container that has just arrived. Your landed costs have gone up as of the 1st of June. You could now upload a new file and set the effective date as the 1st of June. This means every transaction from the 1st of June onwards in our database will be updated with that new unit COGS. Keep in mind that it can take a couple of hours for all of your unit costs to be updated, particularly if you have a very large seller account with a lot of transactions. It will take some time for us to apply those unit COGS to those transactions. Lastly, I want to talk about a couple of common errors. There are three specifically that we tend to encounter. They are to do with SKU codes, effective dates, and the actual CSV formatting. Let's talk about the first one. Let's talk about SKU codes. So as we saw before here in the spreadsheet, the SKUs, and these are easy SKUs because these come down exactly the way they're recorded inside Amazon. But every now and then we will find there are leading zeros on the SKU that are suppressed by Excel. In other words, if you were to open up the original CSV, you will notice that there are leading zeros on the SKU name, but as soon as you open it up in Excel, those zeros are truncated. And when you save it back down, those zeros are missing. And really what happens in our system then is a mismatch between what you're trying to upload and the SKU that exists in our platform. If there's no match, we can't update the costs. And hence what you need to do in this example is to use a little bit more formatting in Excel in order to ensure that those leading zeros are in fact visible. The second item that I want to talk about is the effective date. A lot of times we have customers telling us that the cost of goods column here does not populate. Most of the time that happens when the wrong effective date is chosen. So for example, if I were to choose the effective date as of today, we really need to wait a couple of days for new transactions to flow into the system that are beyond that effective date for the unit COGS to be applied. So make sure that you always pick an effective date that is back in time. It's a historical date. It's not today or a future date. Last but not least, we are experiencing sometimes issues in the way Excel treats CSVs. Our platform requires a CSV file to be ingested, but Excel saves CSV files differently in Europe than they do in the UK and in the US. Mainly that has to do with the way Excel delineates its CSV. And in Europe, a lot of errors are caused by the fact that the actual CSV file does not contain a column, but contains a semicolon. So I have an example here. This is a correct format. As you can see in this particular file, and this is simply the text file from the actual CSV that we added in Excel before. You can see we are comma delimited here, and we're using a decimal point to denote decimal places. The incorrect format here, which Excel can save down automatically at times, here has a semicolon and uses a comma to delineate decimal points. So please check your Excel documentation on how you best translate a file like this back into a standard CSV format like that. This is one of the most common areas where we see errors in terms of uploading COGS. I hope that was helpful in teaching you a little bit more about how profitability works within Merchant Spring, the different types of reports that are available, channel reports, monthly reports, and product level reports, how to upload COGS and some of the most common issues and errors we encounter, and how you can diagnose profitability issues, either at a channel level or at a product level. Thank you so much for watching.